الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين صلوا على محمد وآل محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Mu'mineen, welcome to tonight's English First Day lecture. We start off by thanking and praising Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the universe, and may His peace and blessings be upon His holy messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
We raise our hands in dua. Ya Allah, grant all those who are unwell shifa. Accept our ibadat and hajat. Make our actions solely and truly qurbatan ilallah. Tonight and every night we pray that we are granted the opportunity for our faces to be changed by the sun toward the visitation of Aba Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam. For the forgiveness and blessings of all our marhumeen, please recite the Surah Al-Fatiha. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعجل فرجهم.
Fiqh al-Islam, Shaykh al-Kulaini records in Al-Kafi with his chain to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, who says, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said, you must forgive. Forgiving increases one's respect. Therefore, forgive so Allah may respect you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
Without further ado, I would like to invite respected Maulana Sayyid Imran Tanfi to come forward and deliver tonight's lecture. Nara Takbir,
Allahu Akbar,
Nara Takbir,
Allahu Akbar,
Nara Risalat,
Ya Rasulullah,
Nara Risalat,
Ya Rasulullah,
Nara Haidari, Haidari, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
ثم الصلاة والسلام وتحية الإكرام على الرسول النبي الأمي الذي أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه سراجا منيرا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الغر الميامين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله يبسط الرزق لمن يشاء ويقدر. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Surah Ra'd, this ayah I recited right now is an excerpt or a portion from the verse in Surah Ra'd. The surah number is 13 and the ayah number is 26. The ayah is longer than this, but this particular section where Allah says, Allahu yabsutu rizqa liman yasha wa yaqdir is repeated. This whole phrase is repeated in the Quran in at least 5 places. Exactly like this, but at the end of the ayah, the ayah ends differently. Here it talks about farihu, and it talks about the dunya, it talks about the akhirah. But different instances, the ayah ends differently. But in this particular surah, Surah Al-Ra'd, this ayah ends as such. Allahu yabsutu rizqa liman yasha. Please recite salawat al-Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
We find ourselves on the eve of Laylatul Jum'ah. Tomorrow is the day of Jum'ah. Tonight is Shab-e Jum'ah as we know it, or Laylatul Jum'ah. Among many recommended acts of the night is to, and we've been commanded, if you were to read the riwayat of the Ahlul Bayt, if you were to study the riwayat of the Ahlul Bayt, the Ahlul Bayt have commanded us to remember those who have left this world. They have told us, they have made ta'keed on the fact that if somebody you know, somebody you used to socialize with, somebody who used to sit with you is not present among you, do not forget him. And Thursday night is one of those nights where Allah has commanded us, through the Ahlul Bayt, to remember those who passed away. So this is one of those nights. Please do not forget your marhumeen, your elders, your peers, or your youngers who've left this world. If you remember them today, tomorrow those who are here will remember you, inshallah. When you go to the graveyard, when you go to the qabristan, it is not necessary. If you look at the riwayah from the Imam says, anytime a mu'min visits the graveyard, those people who passed away, the amwat, the marhumeen, they feel happy and they're glad at the visitation. It is not necessary that you visit them per se. Just you passing by, just you going to the graveyard where the mu'mineen are buried, removes fear from their hearts and they welcome you. We may not hear it, we may not see it, but this is an effect it has on them. So Allah give us the tawfiq that we go visit the graves of those people, and sometimes when we recite Al-Fatiha, sometimes the majlis is for Isal Sawab, where a particular marhum the majlis is sponsored by or for a particular marhum, but then you recite a Fatiha for Kul Mu'minin and Mu'minat. This is also a very good practice. Reason being that sometimes, I don't know if you've been told this, but sometimes I get told, Maulana Sahab, I've been working in this graveyard for 10 years, or is qabr pe abhi tak koi bhi nahi aaya. There's graves like this where people don't visit or they have no access to the grave, but when you sit down and you recite a dua, a communal dua, there's no scarcity in the treasure trove that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. Allah's treasure and Allah's blessing will not run out. If you recite it for one mu'min or you recite it for kul mu'mineen, it is not going anywhere. So inshallah, at the end of the majlis as well, please do not forget your marhumeen, your teachers, the one who taught you Quran for the first time, because in this week that has passed a few days ago, one of the teachers, when I was 9 or 10 years old, one of my first teachers of Quran, Musaddiq Lakhani Sahab, has passed away in Pakistan. He is also the elder brother of Maulana Shabir Maisami, if you heard of him.
Yeah.
So he was one of my first Quran teachers and he's passed away. So we'll recite the Fatiha. Please include him in your Fatiha as well, and also your marhumi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. صلى على محمد وآل محمد وعلى صلاتهم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
If I was to hand everyone a piece of paper and a pencil, and I say, please write down rizq. What is rizq that Allah has given you? Start with 5, 10, 15, 20, 100, 200, whatever you count as rizq. Whatever you, money, wealth, children, good wife, good parents, good household, good family name, good job, good opportunities, good health. This is all rizq min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is all tangible. This is all things we can touch, we can see. These are things that we benefit from. My question here is this, and I'd like everybody to pay attention to this. Children come up to me. We're missing a few here tonight, but inshallah, as these programs continue, they'll start coming to us. Children come up to me and they ask the question and they say, was it not possible for Imam Sadiq to teach one of his students the cure for cancer? Was it not possible for Imam Sadiq to teach some of his students a cure for dangerous illnesses? Was it not possible for Imam Sadiq, of all the knowledge he has of the ghaib, of what is to happen, what has happened, what will happen tomorrow? Imam knows this through the ilm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Could he not have taught the students this? How to perform a heart surgery, if somebody has plaque or veins that are ruptured in his body, brain hemorrhage. This is very beneficial. The Imam could have taught his students these knowledges. Why did he not teach them this knowledge? For those who read books and for those who are friends of knowledge, and Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I can say 100% those present here are friends of knowledge. If you were not friends of the knowledge, you would not be here on a Thursday night. This is the karam and the sharafa of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, and please pay attention what a big ni'mah this is. When somebody dies in our family, your families, what do? We do a majlis of Isal Sawab. Have you heard in the 8 billion people in the world that if somebody's relative dies, they call their friends and they have an ilmi discussion called a majlis? Have you heard anywhere where somebody passes away and for their sivum or chehlum or barsi, everybody gathers together, there's a man on the pulpit, what is he talking about? He talks about ilm, where? From Muhammad and al-Muhammad. Where unless the person who passed away was a dean of a university, they will have a conference or a seminar where they get together and they have an ilm discussion. But this is the barakah of the Ahlul Bayt. Whoever is a lover of the Ahlul Bayt, whenever we have somebody who passes in our, someone, a dear one, we get together and there is knowledge that is shared. Not the knowledge of the alim, the knowledge from the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, with the fadail and the masaib. And this is big ni'mah from the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, and this is the risk. So as I was saying, risk is intangible. If you were to study and understand, you will see that these problems, yesterday there was not a penicillin did not exist, today penicillin exists. Today there's not a cure for cancer, tomorrow inshallah there will be a cure for cancer, and day after tomorrow we'll have a bigger problem than cancer. It's not me bringing bad news or giving bad omen, this is the nature of the world. You cure a problem, it opens doors to another problem. Ad-dunya darul bala. The dunya is a place of problems. Allah has sent us here to test us. When our tooth is fixed, our knee starts hurting. When our knee is fixed, our back starts hurting. When everything is fine, we notice white hair on our head and we start aging. And then by that time we learn how to color our hair, we start forgetting things. So this is life. This is how we're to live in this world. This is how Allah has designed this world. If the Ahlul Bayt is not, and when the students ask the Ahlul Bayt taught them, if you have this illness, this is the solution. If this is the illness, this is the solution. If you have toothache, recite this dua. The Ahlul Bayt have given us some medicines and some cures. But this is not the purpose of the Ahlul Bayt. You know why? Because all of this knowledge, because it's only limited to this world, we can, and inshallah we will, arrive at the solution through worldly experiments and through science. Science and technology will teach us. If not today, tomorrow we'll figure out a solution for all our problems. But science will not teach us. Science can tell you, as an approximation, how far the sun is from you. Science will tell you how far the moon is from you. The science will be able to estimate the amount of galaxies. But the science cannot tell you what the arsh looks like, what is written on the arsh, what is Jannah like, what is Jahannam like, what is Barzakh like. What is the dunya that is not seen like? It is only Muhammad and al-Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam.
محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
This world is temporary. We're here for a time. We're not here tomorrow. We live here for a few years. Tomorrow we're not in this world. But the life we have in the hereafter, the Ahlul Bayt are here to prepare us for that dunya. How to behave that the akhirah is intact. They have knowledge of anything that you call knowledge is with the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Anything you put your finger on and you say this is knowledge, it is with the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. What they choose to share with you is what will benefit you and what you have no access to. Our intellect has a ceiling, and we will reach everything and anything we desire as it relates to this world. But when it is news of anything that is beyond this world, we are bound by our limitations, and we are in need of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. This is a need for the Ahlul Bayt. When I cut an onion, when I were to slice an onion, the saline liquid that exits the pores in my eyes is called a tear. The biologist or the doctor will tell you this is a reaction to the oxidation in the onion. When you cut an onion, this is the reaction, this is how your body reacts. A teardrop will fall, there's irritation. But who will tell you when you hear the dhikr of Imam al-Hussein and a teardrop comes and the Imam says this has the power to extinguish the fire of Jahannam? A scientist cannot tell you that because his knowledge is limited to this world. Who will tell you the secrets of these things? When you listen to the dhikr of the Ahlul Bayt and you cry, this liquid that comes from your eye duct is the same liquid when any other pain afflicts you. But why does this have particular power? To heal the sick, to cure the incurable, to bring your heart back to life. Who gives you this knowledge? Who gives you access to that world where this knowledge exists? Only Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhi salam. Please recite salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
If you understand the purpose of imamah, you'll understand the purpose of the knowledges they share. And if one is to understand the knowledges they share, they'll understand more deeper the purpose of imamah and what the purpose of the imam is. This dunya is dani, this dunya's law is for us to manage. It is not for us to waste the imam's time on small petty things like people do. Please excuse my tone and excuse my language if you find me harsh. It's not because I'm intentionally doing that. I just want to drive a point home that tomorrow, inshallah, when you find yourself in the presence of the imam, inshallah al-aziz, you know what questions to ask. You know how to speak to the imam. Not that I am perfect, but I've spent some time with people who spent all their lives reading the words and the sayings of the Ahlul Bayt, who spent all their lives teaching the Quran and learning the Quran. The other with what you sit with the imam, how you speak to the imam, when you go to the imam Najat. The imam is Ra'uf and the imam is Kareem. Whatever language or lahan or tone you have, the imam will listen to you and will respond to you a better response. But to get the maximum benefit, to make the most of your time with the imam, once you have a struggle with yourself, you have a good question, then you also feel that I have not wasted the imam's time. But please, let's all agree together, no matter what we say and how much we ask, and no matter how we think our question is very valid, it's still a waste of time for the imam because his time was more precious. For us, it is only to sit down and marvel, sit down in awe at the presence of the imam, alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever the imam be. Please recite the salawat of Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
The translation of the ayah is Allahu yabsutu rizqa liman yasha. I would want to sit down sometime and break each and every word. What is the rizq? What is yabsutu? What is the mashia of Allah? What is liman yasha? Who are the liman yasha? But inshallah, time permitting, we'll just talk about the yabsutu rizqa liman yasha wa yaqdir. Yabsutu rizqa, bastu rizq, इसको उर्दू में बिसात कहते हैं. aap jo leke aate hain. Bast means two things or three things in the Arabic language. To spread out. Yabsutu rizq is to spread out rizq. Allah will spread out rizq for whoever He desires. Yabsutu rizq, Allah will make easy access to rizq to me. One, Allah will spread out. Second, Allah will make it simple for him to attain that rizq. Liman yasha, whoever He desires. In this context, in the hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
The Prophet mentioned this in Hajjatul Wada, in his khutbah at that time. This hadith is mentioned in Al-Khirsal and also in Al-Kafi. The Prophet says, Inna Ruh al-Qudus, or Inna Jibra'il in some places, depending on the narrators how they narrated it. Inna Ruh al-Qudus or Inna Jibra'il. The Prophet says Jibra'il, Alqa, or the other word is Nafatha, Nun Fa Inta, Fi Raw'i. Summarizing it, simplifying it, Jibra'il told me. But there's a beautification in how the Prophet expresses it. He says, Jibra'il transferred the knowledge to me. It's not kalam, it's not listening, it's not speaking. It's just Jibra'il and the Prophet, and they know how that secret or transfer of secret happens. I don't know it, but the words the Prophet used, Alqa fi raw'i. As soon as Jibra'il came, this matter came to my mind, or this was the message transfer from the Arsh of Allah. Inna nafsa, no soul, lan tamut, will not die hatta tastakmil rizqaha, until its rizq is complete in this world. Nobody will leave this world unless their rizq is complete in this world. And then he says, the Prophet says, وَأَجْمِلُوا فِي الطَّلَبِ وَأَجْمِلُوا فِي الطَّلَبِ. I'll stop here because there's not much time. Not a soul shall leave this world unless its rizq is done. وَأَجْمِلُوا فِي الطَّلَبِ. I'll explain that. أَجْمِلُوا فِي الطَّلَبِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you're born, when everyone is born, Allah knows exactly what is his rizq quota in this world. For instance, this person, he will have 9,200 breads in his lifetime. 9,200. As soon as he's done 9,200 breads, example, in his life is done. He should come back. This man will earn this much money, he will have this many children. The rizq is defined in Allah's knowledge when we're born, before we're born. Yes. As soon as that quota is arrived at, your life is done. The Prophet says you will not leave this world until and unless everything that is destined for you gets to you. What is your rizq will come to you. It is your choice. So he says, وَأَجْمِلُ الطَّلَبِ. He says, your talab, or you're asking for this rizq, make it beautiful. Make this asking beautiful. How does he mean make this asking beautiful? What is meant for you will come to you. An example, one of the ulama, I'll take his name, Sayyid Abu Talib al-Tabatabai, Hafadahullah, my esteemed teacher. He narrated this incident. What does he say? He says, a man was traveling, and this is an old incident, but this shows how Islamic values, when understood properly, when they're entrenched in your soul, how they have an effect on your character. He says, I was looking for those push carts that India had once upon a time, where you would sit on them and somebody would push them or pull them along, those carts. So he says, I went to the person and I said, how much to that destination? So the man says, 2 rupees. He says, I need to hire your services. If you can take me to that destination, how much will you charge me? He says, 2 rupees. He says, okay, let's go. He says, listen, bhai, I made my earning for my day, but my brother just came. He hasn't made a penny yet. Why don't you go to him? Ajmilu fi talab. I've made my risk for the day. I've worked my day. What I needed to sustain today and for my life and family, I have that. I have today's risk. But this man just showed up. If you take me, he'll have to wait for more passengers. Why don't you take him? Why don't you give him the fare? Let him to take. This is a jamalu fi talab. This is the beautification in seeking. The risk that is yours and is destined for you will reach you. Nobody can snatch it from you. Rizq of life, no one can take it from you, only Allah takes it from you. Rizq of wealth, only Allah can give it to you or take it from you. And those people who feel कि हमारा हक था, it was our right and got taken away, either it was never meant for you, or if it was meant for you, no matter where it is, when the dua we recite after Isha, if it's on top of the mountains, it will reach you. If it's under the seas, it will reach you. Anywhere in this world it is, if it's yours, it will reach you. And if it's not yours, it won't. Even if it's in front of you, you can't access it. Another point I'd like to make, and I'd insist on this. Kasratul rizq is one thing. Al-barakatu fil rizq is totally something else. Kathra in rizq is one thing. Having a large amount of rizq. But having barakah in the rizq is something else. Those people who came with 10 and 12 sons and stood in front of the Prophet and he said, "Where are your sons, Muhammad? Look at my sons." That is al-kathratu fil rizq. The Prophet points at his daughter and says, "Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar, fasalli li rabbika wanhar, inna shani." This is al-barakah of rizq. Understanding the difference between kathra in rizq and the barakah in rizq. And dear brothers, there's so many incidents. People come and tell us and reveal to us and let us know where we heard. For instance, and this is the problem, unfortunately, with the corporate world that we're facing. If you have a utility store where you sell, for instance, you have a big supermarket and you sell household utilities, and the one across the street is a poor man and he has a vegetable store. What is the capitalist world telling you? It says, if you can't open a department in your store, that man will go out of business. Everybody will come to your store and no one's going to his store. This in Islam is dhulm. In business, this is clever business. In Islam, this is dhulm. Because you have no right to close somebody else's business, especially open up a department with the intention to close somebody else's business. With the intention. If it happens, it happens. Like you have your own program and your own produce. But to open up a department with the intention to close somebody else's department, this is dhulm in Islam. Nobody can eat more than a daily allowance. Your calorie intake is either 2,000, 2,500, maximum 4,000 calories a day. इससे ज़्यादा नहीं हो सकता. इससे ज़्यादा से बीमारी आती. After this is only problems. The barakah in rizq is somebody earning less money, but he wakes up for tahajjud. He gets his ziyarah of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu salam. His children are well. The daughters do hijab. The children pray salat. This is in less rizq. This is possible. And us, we have seen people who have a lot of money and they have more problems. Lots and lots of problems. My son is doing this, my daughter is doing this. Mawlana Sahib, I don't have time. I know people who have so much money. Like, I've never been to Karbala, I've never been to Mashhad al-Rida alayhi salam. So again, kathra fil rizq is one thing, al-barakah fil rizq is something else. And this comes, the barakah in rizq only comes with taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the ita'a of Allah. What does taqwa mean? What does taqwa mean? Again, to gain perspective, if Allah has decided you will only make 650,000 pounds in your life. If you will only make this amount in your life, if you earn it with haram, your death will come quickly. This is not my words. This is the words of the riwayat. Allah said this person will make 650,000 pounds. If he does it with halal, Allah will spend it over 70 years, 80 years. But if somebody says, you know what, I can do a bank case, I can cheat someone, I can fraud someone for 200,000 pounds, your death will come 200,000 pounds earlier. This is the promise of Allah. This is not my words, this is riwayat that we find. And those people who do the opposite, who are happy with the little, and they understand the barakah, their lives will be long. This is riwayat. Those people who do good deeds, Allah will give them long life. Those who do bad deeds, their life will become short because of their deeds. This is one of the possibilities. I don't want anyone to go out and say, last week that person died, A young death, इसका मतलब ये है कि वो उसके काम गलत है नहीं। ये आपको एक हदीस का इल्म है, ऐसी दसियों हदीसें कि जिसकी वजह से मौत जल्दी आती है और जिंदगी में तूल उम्र होता है। लेकिन when it comes to risk, Allah has apportioned your risk. If you take it with halal, it's yours and you get thawab. And if somebody takes it with haram, he thinks he's smart, he goes home, his children are sick. And the sickness or the illness is not apparent always. A child, he thought, this happens so many times. The man thought, I'd send him to madrasa, I send him to diniyat, he knows how to read the Quran, he prays in front of me. When he turns, when he switches, when he stops, when he turns around to his father, he says, this matam kya hai? क्यों जाता है? खत्म, उसी वक्त खत्म, उसी वक्त फातिहा पढ़ना। जब इश्काल हो, जब परेशानी हो, क्या जरूरत है इसकी? क्या लगाया आपने अल्लाह ताला? क्या है जी? बजाय क्या मसला था? Go back and see what have I done, what has happened, where did I go wrong? और अक्सर ताल्लुक से रिस्क करता है. How we utilize what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. How we deal with those things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq, inshallah, to make the most of the risk that we have. So we understand the barakah in the risk, and we're not fooled by the kasra in the risk. If there's any kasra that we want in the risk, that kasra only exists in the love of Muhammad and Al Muhammad alayhi salam. For ajmil fil talab, when you ask Allah, the risk does not start at your workplace. The risk does not start when you clock in the morning. The risk starts when you stand here and you say Allahu Akbar. This is where the risk starts. The risk starts when I've seen, alhamdulillah, I'm very happy and glad to have seen some people. The risk starts when they leave home and they pass by here, they get out of the car, they do salam to the alam and they leave. This is where the risk starts. These are the things people do to initiate and ignite that factory of Allah that provides risk. This is where, if you understand this, then you're never troubled. If you have to go to bed and you don't have a penny in your pocket, you look at Allah and you say, this is how you want tonight? Okay, be it. It's no problem. Because He's promised risk. See, we forget sometimes. The promise of risk is not us. He has promised risk. He says, I am the Raziq. I am the provider. You chase and you run and you want and you desire and you snatch. He says, no matter what you do, it's apportioned. If I have decided on day one, you're not making more than 300,000 for instance in your life, no matter what you do, it won't come to you. It won't come to you. But on the conversely, it's also told you to leave house and go look for it. It's yours. What is yours will come to you, but people should not become obstinate and lazy. This is not the tariq of the Ahlul Bayt. This is not the way of the Ahlul Bayt, alayhi salatu wasalam. And because we talked about Kawthar and risk and barakah like that, I'd like to bring your attention to Zahra salamullahi alayha. If I'd like to ask someone who's a young person here, if working in your workplace or wherever you're doing your chores was difficult, and I gave you a slave person, I gave you someone to help you at home, right? You'd be happy on that day. You said, now I have help, and this is the nature of people. They'll sit on a chair or a table, and they'll command this one miskina slave around, go here, pick up this, drop that off, go clean the kitchen, go this and that. Salman al-Farsi came to the house of Zahra salamullahi alayha. And it was Bibi Fidda or one of the other slave girls. There was not many slave girls. They didn't have many slave girls. It was Bibi Fidda, as per my memory serves. He says, where is the Zahra salamullahi alayha? And what are you doing? She says, Zahra is working, I'm resting. He says, how dare you do this? He says, Zahra asked me to rest. She commanded me to rest. She says, we will divide work. We will divide work into a portion. Some jobs you will do, and some jobs I will do. Who is this? This is Zahra. This is the not only is she the wife of this is the wife of Amir al-Mu'mineen, not only is she the mother of the kings of heaven, not only is she the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not is she only the hujjat on the aimma of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. What power does Az-Zahra not have? What authority does Az-Zahra not command? Can anybody say if she commands the jinnat will come? If she commands the angels will come. If she commands the winds will come. What is beyond her? But yet, we have riwayat where the Prophet would go to Az-Zahra's house, salamullahi alayha, and he'd see her sitting at the mill and there's blood seeping from her. There is blood flowing from her palms because of the bruises when she goes around the mill. When she would walk, she'd rest her hand on her back because it was difficult for her to walk, but she'd keep on working. This is Zahra. Salamullahi alayha. What a risk is not available to Zahra. Salamullahi alayha. What does she have not access to? What does she have no access to? She has access to everything. Yet she chooses to live like this. More for everybody else, less for Zahra. This is how she lived. Because she is happy. It's like, Allah, are you radi like this? Allah says, I'm radi ya Zahra. And this is how she lives. So I asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I want to have a conversation, and I asked the Prophet, he said, O Rasulullah, tell me your state. Tell me your state. How did you find yourself when you walked into the house of Az-Zahra and you saw her sitting, working, and there was blood on her palms? Did it bother you? Did it affect you? Did it hurt you? That my only beloved daughter here, sitting down. There's people in the ummah, in the Muslim ummah who are relaxing, who are having the best life. And you have the daughter of the Prophet. Ya Rasulullah, how did you feel when you saw this? A father would say, I am in pain. Then I would ask him, Ya Rasulullah, tell me then, how did you feel when you heard after your passing what the ummah has done with the Zahra? Tell me, O Rasulullah, how do you feel when you find out that for 75 days or for 95 days after your passing, Zahra could not decide how she should lie down on the bed? Because no matter how she lay down on the bed, if she turned right, she'd be in pain. If she turned left, she'd be in pain. Tell me how you feel, O Rasulullah. Tell me, Ali ibn Abi Talib, how do you feel when you stand at the grave of Zahra and you put her down in the grave? And you tell the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, Ali is sorry because this is not how Zahra came to my house. The condition I put Zahra in her grave is not the condition she came to me in my house. سَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّا مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين.